be a bitch, come take it to the floor now. Woo!
Woo! 10 days before Beyonce releases Cowboy Carter, B is giving us some insight into what inspired Act 2. On Instagram, she writes, "This album has been over 5 years in the making. It was born out of an experience that I had years ago where I did not feel welcomed. And it was very clear that I wasn't. But because of that experience, I did a deeper dive into the history of country music and studied our rich musical archive." What experience is B talking about? I mean, I already called it when she announced this album last month. 7.5 years ago, in November 2016, the Country Music Association was celebrating their 50th year of their award show. Carrie Underwood and Brad Paisley were hosting the show, and Carrie told Rolling Stone afterwards that in the rundown of the show, there was just this big space that was just blank. It was all very hush-hush. We'd be reading our scripts and we're like, who is this TBD performance in our scripts? Yeah, after one commercial break, the live show returned. No one came on stage to intro performance. No one, voiceovers announced the performance. Nope. The lights came up and the real live hoedown began. Beyonce performed her track Daddy Lessons off her Lemonade album with the Chicks. Natalie Maines told Howard Stern in 2020 that their surprise appearance wasn't a welcome one for many.
It was just a weird vibe in that building. We hadn't done anything, country award shows or anything since the controversy.
I mean, you just had to look to Kenny Chesney and expression on his face. I think we can all see that Lady A's Charles Kelly is not searching the crowd around him to spot someone who is loving the performance as much as he is. And reportedly, Alan Jackson walked right out of the room during the performance. Now, previous appearances by pop stars on the CMA Awards went over just fine.
I'm all about that bass, got that bass. Bang, bang, there goes your high. I know you want it, grab it, baby. Don't they make a medicine for heartbreak?
They didn't receive this level, or if any, backlash. But Beyonce, singing the most country song of all of them, no doubt that Beyonce knew this wasn't going to be an easy sell to the audience. Because yes, she's doing it with one of the most talented artists out there, but the Chicks had been shunned from country music for over a decade at that point.
I said I would never after 2003, but then when Beyonce calls, you're like, okay, maybe just this one time. One last time.
Do you get nervous when...
I'll only do it with Beyonce.
So yeah, it wasn't going to be a warm welcome, which is part of the reason it was probably kept hush-hush. Afterwards, as with all the performances, the CMAs put the live lessons up on their website and YouTube.
They start getting, racist assholes bombarding their website with comments and emails and whatever. And so they take her down. They took our performance down.
Beyonce writes, "The criticism I faced when I first entered this genre forced me to propel past limitations that were put on me. Act 2 is a result of challenging myself and taking my time to bend and blend genres together to create this body of work." And as I said before, Beyonce was certainly well prepared that there was going to be resistance from country radio to play anything from this album. And that was true with the first single, Texas Hold'em.
We headed to the dive bar we always thought was nice.
But the Beehive made certain radio stations quickly change their mind. Beyonce writes, "Thank you from the bottom of my heart to all the supporters of Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages. I feel honored to be the first black woman with the #1 single on the Hot Country Songs chart. That would not have happened without the outpouring of support from each and every one of you. My hope is that years from now, the mention of an artist's race as it relates to releasing genres of music will be irrelevant." But for now, Beyonce ends the speculation about the genre of Act 2. She writes, "This ain't a country album." What? This is a Beyonce album. Oh, I see what you did there, Beyonce. Cowboy Carter. But, as I suspected, this album is going to have some Beyonce featuring tracks. I have a few surprises on this album, and I've collaborated with some brilliant artists who I deeply respect. I hope that you can hear my heart and soul and all the love and passion that I poured into every detail and every sound. I said before that #1 on the collab list has to be the Chicks. Now, especially that we know that this album was born of that performance. Yeah, they got to be on here.
The week we worked with Beyonce is the single greatest working week of my professional life.
3 days ago, Bruno Mars posted this photo on Instagram, his first post of the month, where he's wearing a belt with a B on it. Bruno, of course. But Beyonce wore the exact same belt. And that white cowboy hat matches the one that Beyonce wore at the Grammys. After their funky Super Bowl dance-off in 2016, maybe this duo also got together in the studio too. I'm still betting that Miranda Lambert is on this album.
I'm a huge fan of Beyonce. Probably every girl's answer would be Beyonce.
Like I said before, I'd be shocked if she wasn't, especially because Beyonce writes that she collaborated with artists that she deeply respects, because she said that about Miranda in the past. already know that Rhiannon Giddens plays banjo and the viola on Texas Hold'em, and she's been a very vocal historian in a way about the banjo's black roots.
Because that's the moment when I found out that the banjo is actually an African-American invention.
Beyonce writes, "It feels good to see how music can unite so many people around the world while also amplifying the voices of some of the people who have dedicated so much of their lives educating on our musical history." That certainly fits for Rhiannon. And what I discovered today, which is really interesting, I was trying to find if Rhiannon has talked about Texas Hold'em at all in an interview since it's been out, and discovered that she was one of the vocal critics of Beyonce's CMA performance.
What angered me about it was that it overshadowed, you know, two other performers of color who were kind of naturally there. It turned into a flashpoint rather than a moment of, yeah, this is awesome, because it didn't feel organic.
And you know, it's almost impossible to just listen to one song from Renaissance. And actually, I find I can't even shuffle the album. I have to like start at I'm That Girl and just play right through. Well, Beyonce writes, "I focused on this album as a continuation of Renaissance. I hope this music is an experience, creating another journey where you can close your eyes, start from the beginning, and never stop. This is Act 2, Cowboy Carter, and I'm proud to share it with y'all. 10 more days, people. 10 more days." What are your thoughts on all of that?
She's just the consummate professional, and you just don't want to let B down. That was all I was thinking is do it right. Do it right.